You're listening to The Philosopher's Note on the way of the superior man. More wisdom in less time.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome to the Philosopher's Notes on The Way of the Superior Man, a spiritual guide to mastering the challenges of women, work, and sexual desire by David Deida. We'll start with a quote by Deida. He says, "This book is a guide for a specific kind of newly evolving man. This man is unabashedly masculine. He is purposeful, confident, and directed, living his chosen way of life with deep integrity and humor. And he is sensitive, spontaneous, and spiritually alive, with a heart commitment to discovering and living his deepest truth." End quote. This is a powerful book. If you're conservative, it's going to push your edges a bit and might be too much for you. If, however, you're a man committed to living at his highest potential, understanding the ideas of masculine and feminine energy and how they play out in intimate sexual relationships, then this book is pretty much a must-read. In my experience, you may not always agree with everything Deida says, but you can be assured your perspective will expand, getting you one step closer to living your own highest truth. Deida talks about both the psychology and the technique in the book. I'm going to focus on the psychology. If you dig it, get the book because there's a lot in there that I think you'll find empowering. And consider getting another great book called Finding God Through Sex with even more practices and techniques you might enjoy. As with all my favorite books, the challenge with this one is what not to include. So, leaving a lot of the dozens of big ideas from the book on the cutting floor, I offer you my notes on the way of the superior man. We'll start with the cornerstone of the way of the superior man, his mission. Quote, "If you have a masculine sexual essence, then you would probably admit, if you were being brutally honest, that your intimate relationship is just not as important as the mission in your life. But you still want a full and energetic relationship, perhaps quite badly." End quote. I remember the first time I read that and the powerful resonance I felt. Then I wasn't in a relationship, now I am. It still rings just as powerfully true. Deida comes back to the importance of men having an overriding mission and purpose again and again and again and again. In fact, one chapter is entitled, "If You Don't Know Your Purpose, Discover It Now," where he says, quote, "The core of your life is your purpose. Everything in your life, from your diet to your career, must be aligned with your purpose if you are to act with coherence and integrity in the world. If you know your purpose, your deepest desire, then the secret of success is to discipline your life so that you support your deepest purpose and minimize distraction and detours." End quote. So, do you know your purpose? If not, discover it now. Quote, "Your masculine gift is to know where you are, where you want to be, and what you need to do to get there. If you don't know one of these, then you need to discover it by any means necessary. This vision is, essentially, the basic gift you have to offer women, as well as the world." End quote. So how do we do this? Another quote, "To offer this masculine gift, you must cultivate your sense of daily practice. Like a musician practicing his art, you must practice daily the art of feeling through your fear, feeling to your edge, and then living just beyond your edge, neither slinking into private consolation nor pushing so hard you disconnect from source. The source that is your deepest truth must become more and more the impulse of your life. Over time, all of your activities must become aligned to this source, and so must your relationship." End quote. In my book, that is hot. Deida has some more great tips on regaining and discovering your purpose in the book. My number one rule, heed Buddha's challenge that your work is to discover your work, and then, with all your heart, to give yourself to it. Odds are you're not going to discover your purpose in one weekend workshop or in one book or in one journaling exercise. It's more like the story of the stone cutter, who strikes and strikes the rock with his hammer hundreds and hundreds of times until, eventually, the rock breaks. It's obviously a process. So my vote would be commit to discovering your purpose and then take the next logical step, whether it's reading the book you know you've wanted to read or making the phone call you've known you needed to make, writing the sketch for the business plan you've been thinking about forever. Whatever it is, do something. Move yourself forward. And soon enough, and definitely after some hero's journey-esque ups and downs, you'll be on purpose. And then you'll get to hit a new rock as you forever take your evolving mission to the next highest edge. And while you're doing that, you'll enjoy the next big idea: quit making excuses. Quote, most postponements are excuses for a lack of creative discipline. Limited money and family obligations have never stopped a man who really wanted to do something, although they provide excuses for a man who is not really up to the creative challenge in the first place. End quote. Well, I guess that pretty much sums it up. Let's shine a spotlight on you. Are you making excuses in your life right now? If so, it's time to step up to the fact that men who really wanted to do something were never limited by your excuses. All right, next one is being who you are. Quote, make your life an ongoing process of being who you are at your deepest, most easeful levels of being. Everything other than this is secondary. End quote. Again, step number 1 for the superior man, know thyself. Immediately followed by express thyself. We must show up as our highest selves. That is our primary practice. If we have any integrity to our commitment to give our gifts to the world, we need to show up and be who we are at our deepest, most easeful levels of being. While we do that, we need to take responsibility. Quote, my deepest wisdom is leading me to this decision. If I am wrong, I will learn from it, and my wisdom will have deepened. I'm willing to be wrong and grow from it. So again, how about you? Are you taking responsibility for who you are and how you're showing up? Or are you acquiescing to the demands of society? Very important decision. May we choose wisely. And my recommendation followed Deida's recommendation to, quote, make your own decision based on your deepest intuitive wisdom and knowledge. You may make the right decision or the wrong one, but whatever happens, it is your best shot, and you will strengthen your capacity for future action, end quote. Awesome. All right, so the next big idea is good friends. Quote, good friends should not tolerate mediocrity in one another. Choose men friends who themselves are living at their edge, facing their fears and living just beyond them. Men of this kind can love you without protecting you from the necessary confrontation with reality that your life involves. You should be able to trust that these friends will tell you about your life as they see it, offer you a specific action which will shed light on your own position, and give you the support necessary to live in the freedom just beyond your edge, which is not always or even usually comfortable, end quote. Another powerful thought. So are you tolerating mediocrity in yourself and in your friends? Check in on that. And the next big idea, be willing to change. Quote, a man must be prepared to give 100% of his purpose, fulfill his karma or dissolve it, and then let go of that specific form of living. He must be capable of not knowing what to do with his life, entering a period of unknowingness and waiting for a vision or a new form of purpose to emerge. These cycles of strong, specific action, followed by periods of not knowing what the hell is going on, are natural for a man who is shedding layers of karma in his relaxation into truth. End quote. Wow. That kicks off a chapter called Be Willing to Change Everything in Your Life. And I can't remember the first time I read it, but I definitely remember the second. It was after I raised $3 million of capital, invested every bit of energy I had for 3 years into getting Zods off the ground, my last business. And then, after gaining significant momentum, finding myself feeling oddly less than complete. Deida continues, quote, as you open yourself to living at your edge, your deepest purpose will slowly begin to make itself known. In the meantime, you will experience layer after layer of purposes, each one getting closer and closer to the fullness of your deepest purpose. It's as if your deepest purpose is at the center of your being, and it is surrounded by concentric circles, each circle being a lesser purpose. Your life consists of penetrating each circle from the outside toward the center. And he continues by saying, as you dissolve each layer and move toward the center, you will more and more be living from your deeper purposes, and then your deepest heart purpose, whatever it is, in every moment. I can definitely feel that. How about you? And he continues with, quote, each purpose, each mission is meant to be fully lived to the point where it becomes empty, boring, and useless. Then it should be discarded. This is a sign of growth, but you may mistake it for a sign of failure, end quote. He then talks about whether you're just giving up and need to persevere rather than move through the experience to the next, and offers a few signs that the decision may in fact be rooted in completing a layer of purpose. These signs include: 1. You suddenly have no interest whatsoever in a project or mission that, just previously, motivated you highly. I checked that box when I was going through my analysis, as I was telling you my last business. And then he goes into number 2. You feel surprisingly free of any regrets whatsoever for starting the project or for ending it. Check on my personal list. Number 3. Even though you may not have the slightest idea of what you're going to do next, you feel clear, unconfused, and especially unburdened. Check. Number 4. You feel an increase in energy at the prospect of ceasing your involvement with the project. Check. And I laughed out loud at his number 5. The project seems almost silly, like collecting shoelaces or wallpapering your house with gas station receipts. Sure, you could do it, but why would you want to? Check, check, check. And for me, for all the deeply personal reasons I started my company Zods and believed in Zods, it was disorienting to witness such a significant shift in my attitude towards the project. In reading these passages from Deida and several other books, Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success was another huge inspiration for me at that time, as was The 4-Hour Work Week, another great book I recommend. But this passage gave me a profound sense of clarity. And with that newfound clarity, I decided to sell the business. Within 30 days of the decision, we completed the sale of Zods to Gaiam, which is a $500 million NASDAQ business led by Jirka Risovi at the time I'm recording this. And I gave my investors a great return, my team an opportunity to work within the broader framework of a larger business, and I gave myself the opportunity to powerfully enter the next phase of my life. At the time, I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that my dharma had been fulfilled with the project and that it was time for me to move on. In the midst of that unknown, there were surprisingly few eek moments, and after fearlessly pushing through a series of potential creative ideas and experiencing the temporary jolts of not finding the one on the first try, I came to a place of absolute certainty that my next mission was to create these Philosopher's Notes, 100 of them in 2008, that inspire and empower busy self-actualizers en route to creating a highly profitable business that would give me significant passive income to allow me to continue my studies, creative pursuit, and optimization of my life. If this were the only chapter in the book would be worth it. So enough about me and this particular big idea. I trust you saw visions of yourself in the passages and in my story. What do you need to be willing to change in your life? While you contemplate that, remember the next big idea: give yourself. Quote, the main way you generate bodily tension is by turning your attention back on yourself in self-concern, curling into yourself so tightly you feel all knotted up. Therefore, the main cure is to give yourself to others. End quote. That's hot and so true, isn't it? All the great teachers talk about this tendency to contract into self-centeredness, fear, etc. And they also talk about the need to expand into service to experience the joy of living on purpose. Deida also ties this to our sexuality and our ability to please women. The key, we need to get out of our own self-concern. We need to give ourselves. As we do that, we'll experience the next big idea, the transmission of love. Quote, the purpose of our intimacy is the passionate transmission of love, the rejuvenative healing of sexual energy, and the cultivation of heart through your mutual commitment to spiritual awakening. End quote. That might be the most beautiful description of the purpose of intimacy I've read. Might be worth a re-listen, and definitely worth striving to embody, eh? All right, the next big idea is expand sexual bliss. Quote, if you want to expand sexual bliss as fully as possible, remember that your emotional disposition is far more important than the technical exercises themselves. End quote. Amen to that. I don't know about you, but the times when I struggle with my sexual performance or technique or whatever are almost perfectly correlated to the times I'm not living on purpose. Solve one, and the other is in pretty good shape. Of course, techniques are a nice party favor as well, so get the book and learn them. All right, and remember polarity. Quote, sexual attraction is based on sexual polarity, which is the force of passion that arcs between masculine and feminine poles. All natural forces flow between two poles. The north and south poles of the Earth create a force of magnetism. The positive and negative poles of your electrical outlet or car battery create an electrical flow. In the same way, masculine and feminine poles between people create the flow of sexual energy. This is sexual polarity. End quote. So men and women both have feminine and masculine qualities. Deida says, quote, men can take care of their children and women can fight for their country, end quote. But if we want to have truly vital, intimate relationships, Deida admonishes us to appreciate and nurture our polarity. And he offers a note to the ladies, quote, because a man's priority is his mission, he will always gravitate to a woman whom he feels would most support his mission, end quote. I know that's true in my life, and I imagined you find resonance in yours as well. Speaking of women, next big idea, praise your woman. Quote, praise is literal food for feminine qualities. If you want your woman to grow in her radiance, health, happiness, love, beauty, power, and depth, praise these qualities. Praise them daily a number of times, end quote. Praise and appreciation are the hallmark of successful relationships. We go into detail on these ideas in my notes on Gay and Katie Hendricks' brilliant work on conscious living and loving. And if you haven't checked that one out and are even thinking about relationships, definitely check it out. Their books and workshops teach people how to give and receive appreciation. It's that important. And they base a lot of their work on John Gottman, the guy who can tell you within 5 minutes whether a couple will get divorced with a stunning 90% plus accuracy. And he puts appreciation at the top of his 7 principles for making marriage work. There's another note on that if you are interested in it. His rule is simple. Successful couples have at least a 5-to-1 ratio in positive to negative interactions. And the easiest way to boost that ratio, learn how to praise and appreciate. And Deida takes it a step further with his recommendation to praise that which we specifically want to see more of. Our woman's radiance, health, happiness, love, beauty, power, and depth. There's nothing more beautiful than a woman owning these qualities. Let's praise our goddesses many times today, shall we? While we do that, let's insist on growth. That's the next big idea. Quote, but a superior man will not settle for less than the fullest incarnation of love which he and his woman are capable. With compassion, he slices through all bullshit and demands authenticity and humor. It's as if he's saying to his woman, the divine way or the highway. But rather than wanting his woman to follow his personal direction, a superior man wants her to move in the direction that most serves her growth in love and happiness. He will settle for nothing less. End quote. Sounds good to me. I'm all about the divine way. All right, a couple more big ideas. The next one, self-discipline. Quote, self-discipline is when your highest desires rule your lesser desires, not through resistance, but through loving action grounded in understanding and compassion, end quote. This quote reminds me of Robert Fritz's brilliant book, The Path of Least Resistance. There's some more notes on that. In that book, Fritz talks about the fact that willpower is less important than a clearly articulated sense of your ideal. When we know what we want, we don't need to psych ourselves up with affirmations and all that. We just do what needs to be done. As Deida would say, through loving action grounded in understanding and compassion. Again, it all comes back to having the clarity of purpose to subjugate the lower desires to our soul's true calling. All right, the final big idea is impeccable courage. Quote, a superior man always assumes complete responsibility, knowing that ultimately he has no control at all and everything is out of his hands. He acts with impeccable courage and persistence, expecting nothing but the inherent feeling of completeness he enjoys in the fullest giving of his life. End quote. So are you acting with impeccable courage? The way of the superior man is a path of impeccable courage and persistence. May we enjoy the fullest giving of our lives. All right, that wraps up this note. Let's take a quick look at the author, David Deida. He's known internationally for his transformative work in personal growth and intimate relationships. He has taught and conducted research at the University of California Medical School at San Diego, and many other universities around the world. His other books include Finding God Through Sex, Woman's Love, Man's Freedom, It's a Guy Thing, and The Way of the Superior Lover. You can learn more at daviddeida.com. That's DEIDA. And if you dug this note, I think you'll enjoy the Philosopher's Notes on Gay and Katie Hendricks, on love, Ken Wilber, Tony Robbins, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and the 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. Now let's take a quick look at some of those quotes in the sidebar of the PDF. We start with, "This book is a guide to shedding pretense and living true to your core, specifically for people who have a masculine sexual essence and their feminine essenced lovers who have to deal with them." It's from David Deida, and all these quotes will be from Deida. The next one, "You are either living fully, giving your gift in the midst of those challenges, even today, or you are waiting for an imaginary future which will never come. Men who have lived significant lives are men who never waited, not for money, security, ease, or women. Feel what you want to give most as a gift to your woman and to the world, and do what you can to give it today. Own your fear and lean just beyond it in every aspect of your life, starting now." Most men's ultimate reason for doing anything has to do with discovering their deepest truth, enjoying total freedom and love, and giving their fullest gifts. The whole point of an intimacy is to serve each other in growth and love, hopefully in better ways than we can serve ourselves. Otherwise, why engage in intimacy if your growth and love are served more by living alone? Intimacy is about growing more than you could by yourself through the art of mutual gifting. And finally, the superior man is not seeking fulfillment through work and woman, because he is already full. For him, work and intimacy are opportunities to give his gifts and to be vanished in the bliss of giving. That's a beautiful way to wrap this one up. May we all be vanished in the bliss of giving today and throughout our lives. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and look forward to sharing another note with you soon.
We hope you enjoyed this Philosopher's Note. Please go to www.philosophersnotes.com to download more.